Tonight, I'll be checking out a video by the channel Geography Now, Turkic peoples and countries explained. This is going to be very interesting. I'm guessing Turkic countries and peoples are like people coming from countries that they speak a similar language to Turkish, like I think Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, it has Turk in the name. Kazakhstan, I think Kazakh is very similar as well as Kyrgyzstan. Then I have no idea. So yeah, let's just let Barb show us around. Let me actually do like this because I'm afraid I will be covering some photos and informations coming up. Make sure to check out the channel Geography Now that makes basically the best videos to learn more about different countries, and yeah, let's watch it together.
This is going to be a filler video, or more like a reference video. By the way, you can get your Geography Now merch like this Geography Now mug at geographynow.com. Not selling out if it's your brand. There actually is coffee in here. Usually I fake it, but oh god, I need it this time. This is the third time I filmed this because the first time there was no audio, second time it was anyway.
My god, oh my god, you have no idea how many times that happened to me, especially reacting to videos like 30 to 40 minutes long. After an hour, then my eyes are like, oh my god, they're like, I'm about to cry because, I don't know, I can't stand too much in front of the computer. Yeah. And then I realized there's no audio. Oh my god. Yeah, come on. Let's move on.
I've been meaning to make this video for a long time, but never got to it. But as you know, the Uzbekistan video will be our last Turkic country. So I figure probably more appropriate now than ever to make a reference video for the Turkic peoples. For those of you that are completely unknowledgeable on this topic, when you hear the word Turkic, you probably think Turkish. No, the two are not mutually intelligible words, although Turkish people are Turkic, but not all Turkic peoples are Turkish, although Turkish people do make up like a third of all Turkic peoples, but whatever. The point is, you get the point. Anywho, scattered across Central Asia.
Oh, I was actually right. Ah, that's pretty cool. Nice to feel right sometimes.
And extending all the way into the southeastern parts of Europe with like weird detached pockets in places like China and Moldova. It's a lot. And yet, here's the thing, they're all kind of distant relatives. It's weird. So where did it all begin? Well, it all pretty much began with the Proto-Turks, the common ancestor of all the Turkic peoples, and they spoke Proto-Turkic. Nobody knows exactly where it originated, but most linguists will speculate that it was most likely the Central Asian steppe region, somewhere around the 500 to 3000 BC mark, and from there it spread across mostly Asia and bits of Europe. Much of everything started with the first Turkic Khaganate, or the Göktürk Khaganate, formed around the 6th to 7th centuries AD, started by the Ashina clan under these leaders, Bumin Khagan and his brother Istami. They were originally semi-nomadic in the plains of the Eurasian steppe belt. They were skilled horsemen. They had their own runic writing system that was used for centuries. They come from many different belief systems, from Tengrism, shamanism, animism, Nestorian Christianity, but the largest one that seems to dominate most of the Turkic people groups is Islam, specifically Sunni Islam. Over time, due to inner conflict and advancements from outside forces, Turkic groups split off from the original Göktürks and created their own new languages and Turkic peoples, and today there are 6 main branches that survive, with about 35 or so main languages that are spoken upwards by 200 million peoples across the world, so it's kind of a big deal. And today we'll explain those 6 branches and which Turkic peoples belong to which branch. So yeah, let's start off with the most populous one, the Oghuz. I've heard it pronounced Oghuz. Like you don't pronounce the G, whatever. This is the largest.
How do you pronounce that? Let me know in the comments.
Group of Turkic peoples numbering somewhere around 120 million speakers, and it is the westernmost branch, mostly concentrated in what is now Turkey, Azerbaijan, northwestern parts of Iran, and Turkmenistan. It is divided into 3 regions: the Western Oghuz, which includes the language groups of Turkish, Azerbaijani, and Gagauz, which is in modern-day Moldova's autonomous Gagauzia region. We've talked about that before in the Moldova episode. And then you have the East Oghuz people, which includes
I haven't watched that episode. Should I check it out?
The Turkmen in Turkmenistan, obviously, and the Khorasani language peoples. And finally, South Oghuz, which is mostly found in pockets of Iran that includes these languages like Kashkai and Chaharmahali, Afshari, and I think I pronounced it, I don't know, I butchered them. Then you get a weird singular detached community of about 132 Salar peoples in China. They basically branched out from the original Göktürks and migrated down to what is now China since the 8th century AD. Long story short. Anyway, the Oghuz people are descended descended from the tribal confederation of the Oghuz Yagbu state in Central Asia by the founder Oghuz Khan and his 6 sons that were the founders of the 24 tribes. Each tribe had their own runic symbol. It's pretty cool. The Oghuz Turks were basically the base of the largest Turkic empires in history, such as the Seljuks and the Ottoman empires, although the Seljuk was more like a Perso-Turkic empire, but whatever. They typically mixed in and intermarried the most with outsiders, which is why today they are considered the most genetically diverse group of Turks on the planet. If you go to Turkey, you'll see like blonde, blue-haired Turks and black Turks. There's a lot of different technically Oghuz Turks, and it's partially because they had much more interaction with the Arabs, North Africans, and
Yeah, actually, we should check out some videos like that about the diversity and the cultural differences within Turkey. That would be Turkey. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Europeans. So you see a lot of that type of admixture within their culture, and overall they're kind of like the Turks that got the most spotlight out of all the Turkic siblings. So Oghuz. The second largest group, the Karluk. With about 50 million speakers, they are mostly made up of only 2 main language groups, the West Karluk branch, or the Uzbeks, mostly found in Uzbekistan, as well as diasporic communities throughout Asia, and the East branch, the Uyghur peoples, which are mostly found in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region of China. And there's like a small, incredibly small group of Ili Turki peoples in the Kazakh Autonomous Prefecture of Xinjiang as well, but only like 30 families are documented to speak it. It's very small. But anyway, these are the only 3 surviving family groups of the Karluk Turks. Basically, these 3 member tribes of the Göktürk Khaganate, the originals, they kind of branched out and they formed the Uç Karluk Union around the 7th century AD, and thus the Karluk branch was born. And also around the 8th century, the Karluks built up strong armies and they marched as far as the Amu Darya River, and they established their own independent Yagbu and Khanate states, which ruled for centuries. After taking control of the Iranic Sogdia region, they had control over some of the most important cities along the Silk Road, including Samarkand, Bukhara, and Kesh, all of which are Uzbek cities today. So overall, Karluks are kind of like the Turks that broke off.
I looked before at some vlogs, watched before some vlogs in Samarkand. Oh my god, so beautiful. Uzbekistan is one of those destinations that I feel like, yeah, one person must go at least once in their lifetime. Never been in that region of the world. I mean, that looks amazing.
And kind of worked at the crossroads between the ancient Chinese and Persian worlds while being their own things. They were heavily focused on trade and merchant work. So they're kind of like the businessmen of the Turkic world, of the Turkic peoples, I guess you could say. You know, Karluks will always have their suitcases with them and make a deal. Number 3, the Kipchaks. The third largest group of Turkic peoples. The Kipchaks, made up of about 33 million or so peoples, divided into 4 regional branches. This is going to be an interesting one. The largest one, the South Kipchaks, with the largest language being Kazakh, spoken mostly in Kazakhstan, and the Karakalpaks in the Karakalpakistan Autonomous Region of Uzbekistan, and they have a bunch of other smaller cousin languages, mostly found in what is now Russia and the Caucasus region. Then you have the Eastern Kipchaks, mostly made up of the Kyrgyz peoples in, obviously, Kyrgyzstan, the North Kipchaks, which are the Tatars and Bashkirs in what are now Russia, and finally the West Kipchaks, also all of whom have communities in what are now parts of Russia, as well as Crimean Tatar. Weirdly enough, there are 2 offshoot Kipchak Turkic language groups that are spoken by non-ethnic Turks. The Urum language found in Ukraine and Georgia, but it's spoken by ethnic
Greeks that speak Turkic language found in Ukraine and Georgia. Wow. Bro, this stuff is so interesting.
Greeks, and the almost extinct Kirmchak and Karaim languages that are spoken by Jews. Then it fuses a lot of Hebrew loanwords, yet at the base they are Turkic languages. So yeah, there's a story behind all that. It's a Kipchak, man. Long story short, Kipchak Turks were a small group within the Göktürk times, but during the medieval period they got their spotlight and kind of made their own new thing. Known as the people that wore battle masks with the mustaches on them, they created the Kipchak Kumin Confederation, the most powerful unit within the steppe region that expanded all the way from the Danube River in Europe all across Central Asia to the Irtysh River in what is now Russia, influencing the politics of every part in between. And they were pretty much the domineering peoples all the way up until the Mongol invasions. And here's the thing, Kipchak history is pretty complicated. Basically, although they had many powerful khans, they didn't have an exact centralized source of power, and they were often just kind of hired as mercenaries and military assisters in neighboring empires, kind of like what the Cossacks were to Russia. And yeah, like, it's crazy, even after the Mongols Mongols took over, they still saw value in Kipchak soldiers and even established entire regiments of Kipchak warriors in the Mongol army. They were even imported as Mamluks, or military slaves, sent as far as Egypt and North India. And here's the thing, when they went into India, in fact in the 13th century, one of them, Itutmish, became the Sultan of the Delhi Mamluk dynasty, including his daughter Razia, the only female Muslim ruler of Delhi. Basically, to conclude, although all Turks will say they have some degree of a fighter spirit in their ancestors, Kipchaks are kind of like the relentless exception. Like, even when they were enslaved, they kept fighting and found a way to still come up on top, and like even like rule parts of the places that they were sent to as slaves. Like,
I mean, if you think about it, makes sense, right? I mean, I would say that the Turkic people, when you watch the Olympics, are always the ones winning in like those sports, like fighting sports or like weightlifting. It's always like a Uzbek, I don't know, a Kazakh. It's always those people winning the big, the stuff where you need to be strong, you must know how to fight. It's always the Turkic people if you pay attention to it,
Keep checkmate. So those are the first 3 and largest Turkic family branches, and it's crazy to see how each one was formed over the millennia through migration and interaction, through surrounding people groups with different languages and cultures. And speaking of languages, like I mentioned in this video, you can actually learn one of the Turkic languages, Turkish, with Babbel. That's right, I have partnered with Babbel and would like to give them a huge thank you. I'm actually really excited because I actually use this app and it's a brand that I actually really like, so I'm serious about this promo. It is a language learning app that you can use to learn a variety
oh shit. They don't have Finnish,
of offered languages that they have. As you know, part of my job on Geography Now is to travel, and oftentimes I need to brush up on certain lingua francas just so I can be a little bit more immersive when I interact with local populations when I'm traveling. And Babbel is a great resource. It's not like a boring quiz yourself app. It actually involves things like games. You can sign up for live classes with native speakers. They even have podcasts that you can listen to, and they're spoken slowly and coherently so you can work on your listening skills. It's cool.
I don't know. I always feel so bored to check out those podcasts that are like 4 to 10 minutes long. I always like to listen to podcasts that are like 30 minutes to 1 hour, sometimes even 3 hours.
Great. You can customize your own goals and your own lessons. And if you think maybe you'd like to learn Turkish or maybe another different language that they have, check out Babbel and get 50% off of their services by going to this link right here. And I'll also put it in the description of this video so you can click on it right away, get your Babbel experience. And once you start learning, start babbling with those people across the world. Cheers. Thank you so much, Babbel. All right, and with that, let's finish off with the final 3 Turkic family branches, shall we? Number 4, Siberian. You've probably heard of Siberia in Russia. Well, yeah, that's where most of this group lies, the native Siberian Turkic peoples of far eastern Russia. However, some other groups can be found in what is now Mongolia and China. They are split into north and south branches, the largest group with about 500,000 speakers being the Yakut in North Russia's autonomous Sakha-Yakutia Republic, which is also...
Isn't that the place that is the coldest in the world?
The largest country subdivision in the world. Then you have the second largest Siberian language groups, the Southern Siberians, which includes the Tuvan peoples spoken in the Tuva Republic. Then you also have the Khakas in the Khakassia Republic and Altai in the Altai Republic of what is Russia.
Bro, this flag is so cool.
From there are about 15 or so other smaller Siberian languages and language groups and dialects, most of which either have less than 1,000 speakers, some less than 100. And some are detached in China, such as Western Yugur and the Fuyu Kyrgyz peoples, who are not Kyrgyz. It's a misnomer. And then you have the southernmost Siberians, the Ainu peoples of Xinjiang's Taklamakan Desert. They are unrecognized and usually just get counted as Uyghurs, although they are not Uyghurs, and they use their own language as usually like a secret communication technique. It's a whole other story. But anyway, so the original Guk Turks, most of them migrated west, but these guys went north. They are the cold Turks, harnessing the ability to survive in some of the coldest places on Earth. Known for their heavy fur clothing and vibrant traditions rooted in shamanistic rituals, northern Siberian Turks have always kind of been more nature-oriented, and due to their extreme isolation and harsh terrain, they really didn't have to worry much about conflict with outsiders. Essentially, they were pretty much left alone until the 17th century when Cossack fur hunters came in as mercenaries and kind of acquiesced them in the name of Russia. As for their cousins, the southern Siberians, due to the close proximity to the Mongols and Mongolic peoples and being taken over during the Mongol Empire times, southern Siberians like the Tuva and Altais have not only borrowed Mongol words in their languages, but they've also adopted many Mongolic customs and traditions, such as overtoned throat singing and clothing patterns. You'll notice it a lot. It's like when a Turkish person in Turkey meets a Siberian Turk, they kind of just like nod their head and like, hey, you're like super different from me, but I still kind of get you. Now we go on to the two least
really cool
Turkic family branches. Here we go. You've probably never heard of these. The first one, the Oghur branch. Today...
So wait a second. I want to ask you guys something. If you're watching this video from Turkey, this question is for you. If you were to travel, or if you have traveled, it would be even better, you know, to some countries like, I don't know, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, or Uzbekistan. If you speak Turkish, will people still be able to understand you? Or when they speak to you, are you still able to understand them? I think it would be so cool, you know? Wow. I want to know, please let me know in the comments.
Only one surviving ethno-linguistic group of this branch exists, the Chuvash people and their language. The only known two other languages in this branch have gone extinct, the Khazar and the Bulgar languages. Yes, Bulgar, as in the ancient ancestors to the Bulgarians that migrated from Central Asia before they got mixed in and Slavicized over the centuries, which is why Bulgarians say technically they're not European, but that's a whole other story. Anywho, the Chuvash peoples, numbering at about 1.5 million, have their own republic within Russia, Chuvash. Their origins are a little debated, but most will say that they are a mixture of the Suar.
Bro, Russian states flags are just amazing. Look at that.
Their origins are a little debated, but most will say that they are a mixture of the Suar and Sabir tribes in what was the Volga, Bulgaria region. They have a lot of borrowed Russian words in their language, and most are Eastern Orthodox Christian. Culturally, you'll see a lot of pictographic imagery in their artwork and their symbols and their ornaments and embroidery, including the Tree of Life pictograph that you can find on their flag. It expresses the desire of the Chuvash people for inner spiritual harmony and harmony with the outside world and nature. So there you go, Chuvash people. They're a little isolated, but they're still 1.5 million strong, still trying to keep their own ways. And finally, the smallest of all the Turkic family branches. A lot of people have never even heard of this one, even in the Turkic world. The Argu branch, which has only one surviving language, Khalaj. It has only about 20,000 people in Iran that speak it. It is the smallest of all the Turkic family branches. Initially, it was thought to just be like a branch of the Azerbaijani language. However, linguist Gerard Dorfer discovered that it was actually its own category. Now here's the thing, even though they're like super small, they actually have a lot of crazy deep history. Like they are suspected to be the remnant descendants of the Heptalite Confederacy or the White Huns. And although those people were Indo-Iranian, it's speculated that they also were Turkic as well. Kind of like how the Seljuks were Turco-Iranian as well. It's a lot of people mixed back then. Basically, over time, they got Persianized and interacted with the Pashtun peoples a lot. Some migrated to India and established the Khalji dynasties of Bengal and Delhi in the 13th centuries. It's crazy. Like there's even like ancient coins that were used during this period, and you can find them in museums, and all for the Khalji dynasty. So it's crazy. It's like this super small group of Turkic peoples actually had a huge historical establishment in the name for themselves in surrounding areas with things like dynasties and rulers that took over. And today, there are only like 20,000 people that belong to it. They're like rare people with a deep history. In conclusion, the entire continent of Asia owes much of its identity to the Turkic family. So many chapters of Asian history were built off of them. Anyway, if you didn't really learn much from this video, if there's one takeaway, basically all you have to know is that people in Turkey today can kind of look at Siberians and be like, we got something in common. And that's all you basically gotta know. So there you go, Turkic peoples explained. Hope you liked it / kind of learned stuff. All right, cheers, gotta move on to the next video. Have a good one.
Amazing. That was an amazing video as usual, I might say. Wow, that was really great. I actually learned a lot. I didn't know too much about it. I mean, I knew that those countries that I mentioned before were speaking a language that was similar to Turkish, you know, and they're defined as Turkic people. That's the ethnicity. But I didn't know all those informations. Of course, I'm not gonna be able to retain that many information. So if you want me to check out more videos on the topic, I will gladly react to those as well. Thank you so much for your time. I will see you in my next video.